please join me in an ancient Naropa practice you've never heard of, the mindful bow. So sitting up, breathe in. Exhale as we bow to each other. How do we best cope with stress? How do we lean into the wind of change like a turbine versus getting flattened or blown off course? Better stress management creates more meaning in life, and it can support the deeper healing when needed. With practice, it leads to more intuition and compassion and can even be an adventure. Good mental health and good coping, that deep healing improve the world. There's so much to gain from it, healing ourselves, healing our families, even our ancestral trauma. Hey, I was pretty much a basket case when I came to Naropa at 22. Wounded healer, artist wannabe, binge drinker, know-it-all. I can tell you, change is possible. I know this from personal experience. No, and it can happen even in one lifetime. So this year I wrote a book on kick-ass stress management. In the 90s, I was hired by AMC Cancer Research Center. And it was the first time my MA in dance movement therapy was met with, how cool. Our team tested a stress management framework in a counseling program for women exiting treatment for breast cancer. Of the women who showed significant levels of depression and anxiety, there was a 50% drop in those levels. Using this evidence-based model ever since, with clients and myself to walk my talk, I decided to write the Stress to Strength book. So, yes, healing is good. And here's the book and my intentions for the book. So I wanted to give clients a way to gain independence and heal faster, thus reduce therapist burnout, and to give therapists a simple system to walk their talk. My audience is threefold: for therapists to use with their clients, for therapists to use for their own self-care and stress management, and for anyone who wants to improve their mental health and coping. So I'll share 2 tools from the book and just a few creative frameworks for increasing meaning and happiness. So the first hack is active and passive coping. So coping is just what we do when we're under stress, when our back's against the wall, when we're sad and anxious. And active coping, we're leaning towards the problem. We're working with it. Passive coping, we're avoiding. So when my Sparktalk proposal was accepted, my active coping included staying on top of details, managing my stress well, doing the work even when I didn't feel like it, getting support when needed. My passive coping, comfort eating, regression to Star Trek Next Generation episodes. A little too much procrastinating some weeks, worrying, negative thoughts. So passive coping, it's kind of that natural first instinct. We just don't want to stay there. And with our dopamine-fed addictions with screens, powered by companies that know how to push those buttons, that doesn't help, right? But switching from the passive coping, fear-based response to active coping, it's a little bit of a pivot, but it's not so hard. Okay, it's hard at first. But tomorrow, passive coping is so easy, it's seductive, and tomorrow, the stress is still there. Okay, the second hack is controllability. So every problem's got these 2 sides: what's not in our control, what is in our control about a problem. And again, with the Spark Talk, I couldn't control the length of time. I couldn't control that public speaking is one of the biggest human fears. I could control working with my fear, using the tools. I could control not dropping all my good coping foundations because of the extra stress. This is step 2 of the stress to strength model. And here's an example of using it with a client in a job search. He was a little bummed out that week getting all these email rejections. So he named the problem clearly. And then he named what was not in his control about the problem. And then he named what was in his control about the problem. And just with this step, he began to change his attitude from, oh, I'm stuck here and everyone hates me, to, maybe every rejection is bringing me closer to a good fit. You don't have to drop your stress to 0, but being able to drop it a few points and regain your perspective, that is huge. Would you like to try a little active coping right now? So fun. So pick a problem, any problem, maybe small to medium size. I don't want you sobbing on the floor tonight, but just something that is on your plate that you've been dealing with or maybe not dealing with. So just name it clearly to yourself. And then let's just gently sit with it. And you can, if you want to close your eyes or soften your gaze and look down and just breathe with it. Sink into it. Put it right in front of you and just notice your physical sensations, your body's response. Notice your emotions that arise. Keep breathing and notice any thoughts that blurt into your mind. And let's just do an intuitive ask. What else is true here? What else would be good to know? You just did some active coping, didn't kill us. And, our brains know when we're doing passive coping, we're avoiding. It's not fooled. So this is a great hack for strengthening those active coping muscles. So the book has 4 steps, 5 tools. I wish I could share them all because they work really beautifully together, but you can get the book on Amazon and you can join us in January for some groups. And here's another client transformation. And thank you, clients, your courage to grow, to stretch to your full potential. Thank you. It's an honor to accompany you. So here's a few creative frames. So I see 3 levels of healing in mental health, just to simplify it. So level 1, we're talking active passive coping. We're talking wellness practices, eat, move, sleep, meditate. That's the mantra. Eat, Move, Sleep is a book by Tom Rath. He has an amazing story, a lot of wellness hacks in that book. Meditation or some kind of self-awareness practice, just to keep in touch with the changing internal weather. Level 2, using tools like stress to strength or anything that can help you drop that stress level down. Level 3 is the deeper work of therapy, trauma work, grief work, reprogramming negative beliefs that are keeping us stuck or those patterns we see keep repeating. And when you've got your level 1 and 2 foundations in place, the deeper work happens usually with more ease and less time. I'll use motivational interviewing for level 1 work with clients, stress to strength for level 2, and trauma-informed hypnotherapy, somatic work with level 3. So keep in mind, mental health, half of these levels is DIY. You can do it yourself, okay? Therapy does help. Change is hard. Some change is harder than others. But, it does take practice, like you've heard about that here, and courage. And then remember why you want to change. So coping, mental health makes you a better person, improves the world, increases intuition and compassion. You heard me say all the benefits. So there's a lot of benefits to this. And don't forget those advanced practices. So humor, pets, nature, creativity rocks coping. Okay, so keep your outer life, even if it's just for you. Here's my comedy character, Tina Tomasicchio, and she accompanied me all to these meditation retreat weekends, and she's just like, yo, this is no big whoop. Just stop, be still, and chill. Let's just take a breath together. If I can leave you with a little ditty. Some people want to fill the world with passive coping. I look around me and I see it doesn't work. But you and I can fill the world with active coping. It's not that hard. It may save the world. So let's be brave and strong. You can cope. Then there's hope. Thank you, Naropa, all my amazing teachers, all of the wonderful supervisors and colleagues I've worked with all these years, all the brilliant visionaries bringing contemplative education to this world. Thank you.